Okay, well, let's get started. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is LaToya Benjamin. I am the director of the Du Bois Brun Center for Public Policy here at Medgar Evers College, and we welcome you to our fifth topic with our Census Information Center. This topic will be Your Business by the Numbers, Census Business Builder, where we're going to take a deep dive into Census Business Builder, a free platform of rich economic and business related data. I have Miss Monica Dukes here on the line, an experienced data dissemination specialist with a strong background in leadership, training, and outreach. She is skilled in delivering impactful presentations and producing clear and engaging content. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Miss Monica Dukes.
And thank you, LaToya, so much for that introduction. I really appreciate it. I am going to go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and I actually will be going off the screen myself. Okay. Now, can you confirm whether you're actually seeing my presentation screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, give me one moment. I need to make sure that on my end.
Oh, we just see the slides.
Okay, great. You just see the slides? Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you so much for that confirmation. Okay, so hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining today's session. Again, my name is Monica Dukes, and I am a data dissemination specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau. Today, I'll be walking you through how to use census data that is completely free data to help you better understand your customers, your market, and how to grow or launch your business. I'll give some background information first, and then I'll jump into a live demonstration of Census Business Builder. So the purpose of this webinar is to help you use census data to make smarter business and marketing decisions. My colleague Jolie is also on, and she will be monitoring the chat. So feel free to place your questions there, and she'll be able to help you and respond to the questions while I'm presenting. And I'll also leave some time at the end for questions at the end. And again, the title of this webinar is Your Business by the Numbers. Okay, so just to summarize what I'll be covering today, I'll start with a quick overview of the Census Bureau and why our data matters for business decision making. And then I'll introduce the tool Census Business Builder, which is a user-friendly tool for the business community. And finally, I'll do a demo of a business scenario using New York City so that you can see how to apply this data immediately. Again, if you're not familiar with us, we are the U.S. Census Bureau, and we're the largest statistical agency in the federal government. We collect a lot of data. We don't just work every 10 years, which is what a lot of people are familiar with. We actually conduct dozens of surveys and programs year round. So the data supports funding decisions, planning, and the kind of market research that small businesses often pay thousands of dollars for. Today, you'll see how to use that same data at no charge to you. And the U.S. Census Bureau data collected across the many censuses and surveys is used to distribute federal funds each year, and it helps shape decisions at every level, from federal to local governments, nonprofits, and of course businesses. And that's what you're here to learn about today. As the Census Bureau is the largest federal agency and the nation's data collector, the U.S. Census Bureau conducts three censuses. Again, the decennial census, which most people are familiar with, it happens once a decade. It is our head count of everyone in the U.S. This census is mandated by the Constitution. Next, we have our economic census, which serves as a benchmark for changes in the U.S. economy and businesses by sector and over time. So a lot of people may not be as familiar with the economic census. A lot of the data that you'll see today will be coming from the economic census. And then we also have a census of governments. I also want to mention that we conduct additional surveys each year, one being the American Community Survey, which is the largest household survey in the U.S. which provides annual data for areas large and small on a variety of population, housing, social, and economic topics. And much of the business customer data will come directly from this survey. So you'll see that when I'm going through the tool in my demonstration later on, you'll see a lot of data about your customers coming from the ACS. Again, census data is a key resource used for planning schools and roads or opening or expanding a business. So now what I want to talk to you about is more about how census data can help you when looking for business data. So it can help you identify who and where your customers may be located. It also can help you decide where you may want to locate or expand your business or just market your business. So if you know where your customers are located, it can help you better decide where you should be sending your marketing materials. And also, it will help you understand your competition. So, how many of these other types of businesses are in a particular area that I'm in or that I'm considering moving in, so that you know what the market saturation is. You don't want to go into a market and there's so much competition when you could have moved somewhere else that may be more beneficial to you. And again, this tool will help us decide, make some of those decisions. So we can see here on this slide that, again, this is highlighting some of the reasons that small businesses and entrepreneurs should be using census data. It provides free, trusted demographic and economic insights for counties and communities, supporting location decisions, market research, and funding applications. So why does this data matter for business owners? It will help you understand your market, competitors, and your customers. It supports capability statements and business plans with credible numbers. You'll see when I do my demonstration that there is a report that's great for business plans, when you're applying for business loans, when you need to demonstrate why you should receive money and why your business may do well in a particular area based on the research that you've already done. It can help you align your strategy with where opportunities and capacity exist. So if you think about this, if you run a retail store, you may want to know who lives nearby. If you have a service business, you want to know what the income levels are and commuting patterns. And then if you're a contractor, you may want to know what population growth and housing trends matter. So this is how you move from guessing to more targeted marketing. And again, census data is great for helping you make some of those decisions. Again, the Census Bureau has key methods and advantages like those that we see on this screen. And again, I've already mentioned that we collect a lot of data through various surveys. So the data is available to you at no cost. And the tool that we're going to pull together today is going to collect or have this data all in one place so that you're not having to jump around on our website to find it. This tool is great because it pulls it all together into one user-friendly tool. It is considered to be reliable, so it's produced on a regularly scheduled published dates. And this allows you to view historical data and look at trends. So you want to know, hey, it's a particular business. Is this business growing in a particular area? Is it declining? Are my customers in a particular location? Where are most of them located? Is this area, are there more individuals that are 65 and older versus younger people? These are all things that could be relevant to your business type, and you want to be able to find that data. And then also it's detailed. So we have many geography levels to search for data from nation down to neighborhood level data. And the tool that we're looking at today, we're going to mainly focus on county level data because that is where we find the abundance of business information. Once you start getting to lower levels, some of the business data may not be seen because we protect privacy. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So most small businesses don't take advantage of these advantages to census data. So using it gives you a competitive edge. Now what I want to discuss with you is some key census terms and concepts that will help you better understand the data and what's available when looking at the data and the various tools that I'll be covering today. And you will see these tools as I demonstrate Census Business Builder, which is the tool that I'll review in a moment. So first, I want to start off with NAICS, which you may or may not be familiar with. It is the standard used by federal statistical agencies in classifying business establishments. So when you're looking for your particular business type, we will be looking at a NAICS code. Establishment. This is a single physical location at which business is conducted or services or industrial operations are performed. So it's not necessarily identical with the company or enterprise, which may consist of one or more establishments. When two or more activities are carried on at a single location under a single ownership, all activities generally are grouped together as a single establishment. So the entire establishment is classified on the basis of its major activity, and all data are included in that classification. So just to explain that a bit more, if you think about a hotel can have multiple activities conducted within the hotel. It may have a spa, which is a different type of business. It may also have a restaurant, but its main major activity is to provide sleeping rooms for customers. So it will be located under the NAICS code for hotel. And because that is the major activity, even though it has other businesses underneath this umbrella. An employer is a business with payroll and paid employees. That is a term that you'll see when we're going through the data. Non-employer is a business that has no paid employees, has annual business receipts of $1,000 or more, and is subject to federal income taxes. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the Census Bureau falls under Title 13, which means the Census Bureau cannot release any identifiable information about you, your home, or your business to law enforcement agencies because we're bound by Title 13 of the U.S. Code to keep your information confidential. So when we go through, again, some of this data, if you see data that's masked out or there are no numbers, it may be suppressed because sometimes the data could identify a particular business because there's so few of those businesses operating or the data is not reliable. And so then you will not see that information because of Title 13. We do not want to divulge any business or have it where someone can guess what that business is because we rely on responses from businesses through a survey. Okay, here on this slide again, we're going to focus more on the NAICS or the North American Industry Classification System. And again, this is how we classify businesses at the U.S. Census Bureau. It's used to report data and show historical data trends. It's used by the United States, Canada, and Mexico to classify businesses by industry. So each business is classified into a 6-digit NAICS code number based on, again, the majority of activity at the business. And this is important when you're classifying your own business. You want to make sure you're selecting the correct NAICS code for your business when you're applying for a loan or you're working with the SBA. The NAICS codes are updated every 5 years. So you can see on the screen there's a breakout. NAICS codes are 2 through 6-digit classification system with 5 levels of detail from economic sector down to national industry. So at the 6-digit level, it allows for the US, Canada, and Mexico each to have country-specific detail. So a complete and valid NAICS code contains 6 digits. And every business has a NAICS code, and you'll use it to identify your competitors, find contracting opportunities, and analyze your industry. So make sure you know your correct code. You, again, will need this when you're working with certain agencies. Sometimes individuals may call and say, I don't know my NAICS code, or I want to know what it is, or emerging business. If you know of a competitor or another business that's doing work that's similar to what you're doing, you can sometimes do a Google search, type in the name of that company, and then type plus NAICS code. And that way you can identify what code they're using. If you're doing something that's very similar or the same, it's probably the same NAICS code that you would use for your business. That's just a little tip that I often give people who are trying to figure out their NAICS code. But the NAICS search on our website is very comprehensive, so it really helps you identify what your NAICS code is, and I'll demonstrate how to do that in just one moment. Next, I want to talk to you about the tool that I will be demonstrating today, which is the Census Business Builder. And again, this is a tool designed for business owners, entrepreneurs, business chambers, and associations, or anyone that just wants to dive into business data. So here on this screen, this is telling us where is this data coming from. I mentioned earlier that this tool is combining a lot of the resource data that we have all into one tool. So you don't have to do those separate searches. That's what's so great about this tool, because a lot of business people just want to get in there, get what they need, and get out. And this tool allows you to do that. So again, this slide highlights where it's coming from. It's a tool that, again, provides easy access to information about who your potential customers and similar businesses for those starting and planning and expanding a business. The data is going to be presented in a map-based interface that is accessed in a few simple steps. I'm going to provide selected demographic and economic data in an interactive mapping format. It's going to include a variety of data such as number of businesses, employment, consumer expenditures, population, age, etc. So I mentioned already briefly the American Community Survey is where you're getting a lot of your customer data from. A lot of the business data is coming from county business pattern. We talked a little bit already about non-employer statistics. Those are going to be those businesses that don't have any paid employees. So those are going to be those sole business owners or contractors. And again, when we go into the tool and pull up the interactive report, you will be able to see by each section what those sources are, where the data is pulling from. So I already mentioned that we feel that this tool is easy to use and designed for business owners and chambers of commerce. Once you open the home page, this is a slide of how it looks when you open it. There's a tour that pops up that will walk you through the core functionality of the application. And again, it's pulling together multiple data sets into one place. I'm going to briefly go over some of the functionality, but what I'm really going to do is go in and show you how to use it, and we're going to do a mock business. And as I'm going through the example, I want you to be thinking about the business type that you have on or thinking about starting, because you can follow along with me. One of the great things about this tool is that it can be used on a cell phone as well. So if you have a device, feel free to follow along with me when I do the demonstrations. Again, you'll be able to see customer demographics, marketing conditions. This data helps identify underserved markets, or this mapping tool. Esri, which is a company, helped us build this data tool to keep it fast, easy, and easy to use, and cloud-based, pulling directly from our Census API. And again, I mentioned it's very easy to use on a cell phone. So again, feel free to follow along with me. Now on this slide, it's highlighting several components of the Census Business Builder, and I'll briefly go through that. I'll also provide these slides after I present so that you can have this data as well. So starting with item one, it's the geographic levels. You're going to view data on a map by type of geography, and you can zoom in to select grayed out geography levels. So we'll start off by doing that. Geographic areas that are covered includes demographic and consumer spending data are shown at the state, county, city, place, zip code, and census tract levels. There's economic and workforce data are shown at the state, county, and city town levels. Trade data are shown at the state level. And users can browse data for every county in the US. So remember, if you're looking specifically for business data, you're going to be looking at the county level. Item number two is industry clusters. You can create an industry cluster by selecting industry categories or NAICS codes. I'll show you how to do that in the example. It uses a bivariate mapping, which means that two variables can be viewed on the map in the dashboard at the same time. Number four is highlighting filters. We'll use that feature as well. It allows you to narrow down data by choosing, you can choose up to 5 variables to narrow down your ideal customer. We'll look at a region view, which allows you to build a region with 2 or more geographies. And when you're doing that, you can build a region of 2 or more geographies of the same type. You can also build a region of 2 or more geographies of 2 or more types, or you can build a region using the pre-built regions, which features SBA hub zones, HUD opportunity zones, and NOAA's National Weather Service forecast offices. Item number 6 is showing some additional features, map buttons. Here is where you can download data to CSV, Excel, or shapefile, add reference layers, change the look of the map, view a gallery, or upload a shapefile, or change the base map. Item 7 is a detailed view. This is what we call the dashboard to show or hide time charts and other variables, and also to create the report for your selected geographic area. And then number 8 is the legend and map configuration. The next thing that I'll talk about is the interactive report that you can get from Business Builder, which is one of my favorite things because again, you're looking for the information. So the previous slide showed the actual mapping tool, but this is where you get all of that data in a nice rich report. So it's fully interactive, customizable, printable, and downloadable with direct access to specific sections via a content panel. And you can see those items to the left where it says table of contents. These are some of the contents that you can scroll down and view by section. The local business profile report provides access to margins of error for the demographic data. And this report is very useful for marketing plans, business proposals, or loan applications. And you can view a single geography or multiple geographies if you've created a regional report. So again, if you want to combine areas, you can take a look at that, or you can look at one geography by itself as a whole. This highlights that this is where you would export data into a CSV file or a PDF report. So that concludes all the background information that I wanted to give you before I move into the online demonstration. What I'll do now is I'll click on the next slide. It's going to kind of give you an idea of what I'll be discussing in this online demonstration. So I'll use the Census Business Builder tool to find answers to this scenario. We'll walk through a restaurant startup example. We'll look up the restaurant NAICS code using the NAICS search on census.gov. And then we will set the geography to New York County. That'll be our starting point. We'll also apply variables and filters for high median household income customers and high consumer spending on dining out. So that's going to be our ideal customer for Nick. The filters will help us identify areas with customers who can both spend money eating out and have higher incomes. We'll also look at competitor counts, demographics, and finally generate a report for our business plan. Also, if time allows, I'll demonstrate how to create a custom region and report. And again, this is great for chambers of commerce. If you're working with more than one geographic area, because what it's going to do is combine all of that data into one report so that it's going to aggregate all that data available so you don't have to do it separately, which is really useful, again, for associations, chambers of commerce, or any group that's working with multiple geographies. So again, follow along with me online if you are on your computer or cell phone if you would like. Okay, so now I'm going to jump out of here. I'm going to stop sharing and move to our website. Okay, and if you don't mind, let me see. Let me second confirming when you can see my screen. I'm going to be on the census.gov page. So can you let me know if you're seeing the main census page?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for that confirmation. Okay, so once you're here, this is census.gov, so you can easily get here by typing in census.gov. Right on the main page, we have our NAICS codes. So I'm just going to click here. It's going to take you right into the NAICS search. It's very easy to use. I mentioned earlier that NAICS codes change every 5 years, so that's why you have reference files. But what we're going to do is type right here in the NAICS search. We're looking for a restaurant to open, starting up a restaurant. So I'm just going to type in restaurant and the word and click on go. Again, whatever type of business you're starting, this is what you can do to find your code. And what it does is give you search results. You can see that there are many responses for the word restaurant. And what you want to do here is find the one most related to what your business type or major activity is. So I'm going to scroll down because I'm looking to start a upscale restaurant. I can see here I have fine dining restaurants, full service. So this is my NAICS code 72251. Again, if you were going to SBA and they need to know your business NAICS code, that would be your code. Another useful thing about the next search is it's going to give you a definition. So this is the full definition for 72251 full service restaurants. It gives you the description, but then it also cross-references establishments to say, hey, these are some things that are similar. Just want to point this out, just kind of a check to make sure this is what you wanted. And then it's going to give you an example of all of the different types of businesses that fall under this same NAICS code. And again, we are the full fine dining restaurants, full service. So that's how easy it is to use NAICS, and you can do this for any of your business types. And again, you're just doing a simple search. Next, I'm going to go to the tool Business Builder. And again, you can find that from the home page. I think of Jolie, if you don't mind putting the web address into the chat.
Sure.
Just so they can get there quickly. You can also, on our page, there's a search. So if you type in Census Business Builder here, you could get there, or you could go here to data tools. But I want to just start here for time's sake. I'm going to click Business Builder, so open up that tool. And I mentioned it's going to open up and it's going to automatically show you a tour. It's going to ask you, do you want to take the tour? For this example, I'm going to walk you through it so we don't need the tour. I mentioned through the presentation all these various tabs. So we have custom industries, establishments, filters. We have the map overall, and there's a dashboard that's going to pop up. And by default, it's just going to show the United States. For my example, we want to do the restaurant or fine dining. I'm going to click here because this is how we select our industry. Again, there's multiple ways to search here. You can type in restaurant here, or there's also this icon that says Edit Industries. We can click here as well. They've nicely put these categories together for you. So if you scroll down, you're looking for your business type, and I'm just scrolling down so you can see the options here. I know that a restaurant falls under food services, so I'm going to click food services. Once I do that, it's going to give me an industry or various industries that falls under food services. I'm going to scroll down because again, I'm interested in restaurants. What's great about this tool is when you scroll over the wording, it gives you the definitions right there. So it helps you confirm what you are looking for. And again, I'm looking for restaurants, businesses that primarily provide food services to patrons and are served while seated and pay after eating. So that is my industry that I'm going to select. So I'm going to click out of that and into the map. Just click anywhere on the tool. Next, I want to narrow down my location because we have to search by location. We want to look at the data. There's also, I'm going to point out here at the bottom left, there's a legend. So again, it defaults to the US. So you can already see the darkest color blue is going to show the states with the largest number of the business type that I selected, which was restaurants. But now I want to narrow that down. So now I'm going to type in New York. And once you begin typing, it is going to pull up selections that have New York in them, and then you select what you're looking for. I'm interested in seeing the business data, so I'm going to select New York County. Once I do that, the map is going to zoom in to the area that I'm searching, and now my dashboard here at the bottom left is going to update. By default, establishments or number of establishments is going to be the default data that shows here in the dashboard. So for New York County, we can see that there are 4,179 establishments indicated as restaurants. Also here we have some data, so it's comparing it to neighboring counties. New York County is ranked #1 for having the most restaurants Then we have Kings County, Queens County, New York, and Nassau. Then there's also a time series, so we can see is that business type change from 2024 quarter two through 2025 quarter two, and it's remained pretty stable. It looks like there's 4,270 to 4,179. It's dropped slightly, but it's remained relatively stable, that business type. And then we also have here some stats that show, so we can see for New York County what the median household income is, okay? We have high school degree or higher. So you're already getting data on characteristics of individuals that live in New York County. Then you also can do a geo comparison, which is going to compare the county that you selected to the larger geography, which is the state, then to the US. So, of course, in this instance, this is a statistic that, of course, the US is going to have a larger number versus the county because we're looking at restaurants and we're looking at overall size. Okay, so now I'm thinking about my customer. Where do I want to locate the business? I've already narrowed down New York County. Um, but I want to take a closer look, right? Because I'm interested in customers. I'm going to click establishments here because what I want to do now is take a look at my customer. So I'm interested in individuals who spend money. Well, let me talk a little bit about these categories here. Right here in the primary variable, it's verifying that we're looking by county, we're looking at business quarterly, and then level. So we're just looking at how many establishments. But you can change what you're viewing in the map, depending on what you want to see for your business. I'm not going to touch the primary variable because I do want to see or keep looking at how many establishments are in each county. We can also add a second variable, and again, we have options to select there as well. So what I'm interested in seeing, because again, I have a fine dining restaurant, I want to know in New York County, under primary categories, again, you can see what's under consumer residents. We can look at more business data, building permits, consumer spending, jobs, and my variables. And it's under, I'm sorry, we also have demographic characteristics, social, economic, housing, and employment characteristics. I actually want to see in that county how much are individuals spending on dining out. So I have selected consumer spending. I am going to scroll down to consumer expenditure per household on dining out, food away from home. What this is going to do is going to add this variable to my map. And it's going to be indicated by it's currently changed. It's going to be indicated by a red dot or circle. The larger the dot, the more that they're spending on dining out. I can see that my map is still spinning, and if it doesn't come up in a second, I already have it pulled up so we can view that data. But it's still thinking, and again, I'm just going to point some things out here. With these stats, you can change what your primary establishment is by clicking the icon and then clicking the star, and it will change that business establishment. So I can see it's filling my data in here. So for New York County, it's telling me that per household, spending on dining out is $7,681. Now I have my dots populated. So now I can see those areas. Again, the larger the dot, the more they're spending out. So if I move here, we can see in Queens. Let me zoom out just a little bit more. Once you scroll over the dot, and it's moving a little slow right now, but once you scroll over, it will confirm that spending amount. And so I'm looking at the areas that have the higher dots because these are the places I want to focus on. We can see how small the dot is for Bronx County. They're spending a lot less, 2,547. In Queens, they're spending $4,208 annually. Okay, that's giving me more information. I'm also seeing how many establishments there are. So there's less competition in Queens. They're spending less. In Kings County, there's less competition, 2,000 establishments. They're spending less than the 7,000 in New York County. In the Bronx as well, there's a lot less competition in the Bronx for a full service restaurant, and they're spending a lot less as well. But I also want to know a little bit more. So again, I'm looking for customers who have more money to spend on dining out. So again, I want the map to show me more about my customer. I have options to change. Again, my categories here, you see you have various options. I'm still focused on my customer. Again, you can change any of these. You can do this numerous times depending on your business. I'm interested in income because again, I'm looking for individuals who have more money. You can see these various variables here under social economic. If I were a different type of business and I wanted to help someone who is lower income, I may be looking at percent in poverty. If I had a business that catered to individuals with disability, I may be looking at percent disabled. But for this, we're looking for high income. There's a range here. I have 48,000 up to 146,000. I am going to move the scale because again, I want people who make more money. I want them to make at least $100,000. The map, as I move this slider over to my desired income, because now I only want to see areas that meet my threshold of 100,000. You can begin to see that my map is beginning to gray out in the background. I'm going to cap it here at this 100,000. I can add additional variables if I would like, again, to narrow down where my customers are based on my business type. But now I've lost a lot of these counties. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. I've lost the Bronx, the Queens, Richmond. I'm sorry, yeah, Richmond, New York. What I have left here are these areas. I have Westchester. I was waiting for it to pop up. And I have Nassau. Well, I see that they're still spending a lot of money in Nassau, but there's less competition. There's only 1,000 restaurants, 1,300 to be exact. And then we have Westchester with 1,000, and they're spending a lot of money as well. So I started off just looking at New York County, but these may be areas that I want to consider because they also meet my threshold and there's less competition and they have the income because they were not grayed out. We know that a lot of people in these counties are making over $100,000. So what I want to do now is I wasn't thinking about Westchester, but now I want to think about Westchester. So I'm going to look at a report. Everything that we're seeing now is for New York County, but now I'm going to take a look at Westchester. I'm just going to click there. And now my dashboard is going to change. I didn't I'm assuming I didn't know a lot about Westchester, but now I can see data in this map for this. Their median income is 119,000. We can see what their other stats are, 89% high school graduate, but now I want to see more detail because now I want to focus more on Westchester County. I'm going to click the report. And now we can see here is confirmed we are viewing the business profile for restaurants in Westchester County, New York, saying this report is comprised of full service restaurants. Again, to the left, I have a table of contents and I have these various sections, my customers, a business summary, business comparison, and showing consumer spending as well. I am going to scroll down so we can take a look. We have a visual map of the area, and then we have some top 10 imports into the selected area, which is showing no data. Then we have nationally significant sectors in the selected area. So what's ranking at the top is healthcare and social assistance. And then top impacted products for healthcare and social assistance. We have some information here. So patient care, assisted daily living, and some other data. Now we can look at the demographics, right? So now again, we were just focused on those customers that were making a certain amount of money, but now I can view everything about Westchester. We can look at what the total population is. It's going to break down demographics, male, female, by age, race. And what's nice about this tool is once you select an item, it changes the chart that you see here to the left. So we can see that the population has grown in Westchester County over the last 5 years from 2020 from 968 to 999,000, almost a million. We can continue to scroll down here. Again, there's another chart. And again, if I click on any of these variables, my chart will change and I can see a trend. So if we want to look at the median age in the area, it's been pretty stable. We can see over the last 5 years, and then it's comparing it to the larger geographies as well. I'm going to keep scrolling down because we have, and I'm not going to click on each of these. I'm watching the time. We have social economic characteristics, housing characteristics. The chart's going to work the same. And you notice as I scroll over each variable, I get a definition as well. Also at the bottom, you can see where the data is pulling from. So if you want to know what that source is, so for the social economics, telling us the American Community Survey, 5-year estimates. Again, this tool is pulling from various resources. We have our employment characteristics, so where are people working in Westchester County? Then we have a business summary. So how many of those establishments? 1,065. What size are those establishments and how many employees are working there? Then average employment per employee, average payroll. So they're paying in Westchester County $35,000 per employee, roughly in Westchester. So that gives you an idea of what do I need to be paying the staff that work at my restaurant. This gives you a good idea of what the average payroll for those type of restaurants are. I'm going to continue to scroll down, and again, we still have our charts available. Those non-employer businesses with no paid employees, we have a total of 255 businesses showing as non-employer restaurant businesses. And again, that has kind of changed. There was a high in 2019 of 244, and then there was a dip, and then it went back up in 2023. So you can see how that's trending for non-employer businesses. We have some quarterly business data. I'm going to keep scrolling. Building permit data, if you're interested in that. I'm going to scroll down a little further. Then this is showing us for Westchester as a whole, all of the different business types and how well they're doing. You can rank this if you would like to see what are the main businesses in the area, professional, scientific, and technical services. Again, you have payroll data, and so much more. So this report, you can take any section that's relevant to you. If you're more interested in ownership, you can see employer business ownership for the various type of businesses, and you can rank as well on any of these categories where you see the arrows. There are some NAs here. There's a legend at the bottom. I did mention data that may be masked or missing or not enough data for stability, so it's not showing. So when you see those NAs, that is why. But we also have some non-employer business data here showing, and we have a little more data here about who owns it. Are they minority owned, veteran owned, by each industry type? And then lastly, at the bottom, we have that consumer spending data. There's no jobs available showing here, but we have where people are spending their money. How much are they spending in each of these categories? Again, here's that legend at the bottom telling us why data may not be available. So we did see those NAs there. I'm going to highlight here that you can export data in CSV or print a PDF. I know I went through a lot of that data pretty quickly, and I do want to leave time for questions. But before I move to that, I'm just going to go back here, start over at Census Business Builder because I do want to show you how to create a regional view. It's very simple, and a lot of the features are still similar to what we just did. You would just need to change your view here at the bottom from detailed view to region view. So I'm going to do that now. And then once you click region view, you want to click the button here at the left that says create region. There's several ways to create a region. You can click and point, you can circle or draw a lasso. I just want to click. I'm going to go ahead and type in again New York because I want the map to zoom in an area that I would like to see. And then again, this tool or the regional view can be useful to chambers, associations. If you want to look at an area combined, totaling all of the data for those various areas, this is what a regional view will let you do. There's also quick add. which will let you select the state and it'll select all of those counties at once. And then there's those pre-built regions that I mentioned before that we're not going to take a look at today. We're just going to build a custom region. So what I'm going to do is just click and point. Going to click Queens and Kings. And now it's giving me these 4 counties. So you can rename your region. So I'm just going to rename this New York custom region. You can name it whatever you would like. If you're a chamber, this is the area you work with all the time. You name it whatever you would like. And I'm going to save those edits. So now we can see I have this combined area. My data is showing here combined for a total number of businesses. I did not select the industry, and I did that purposely. You can do that if you want to focus on one industry. What I'm going to do now is go into report so that you can see how it combined the data for all of those areas. So now, again, I have a visual of the area that I selected, those 4 counties in New York. I'm going to scroll down. We still have a lot of those various topics, all of these table of content areas there. There's actually top 10 imports in the selected area here. But I'm going to scroll down to the business data because, again, well, I'll stop here. I'll say it's totaling all of the population demographics for all of those areas combined, which is 7.9 million. And again, the charts are going to function the same way. I'm going to scroll down to some of the business data because, hey, if you're a chamber and you're having to create a report or you're trying to identify businesses in the area that there's an opportunity or you would like to say, hey, we have a lot of this industry in our area. Let's look at some of these other areas where we may not. So I'm going to use this arrow here because I want to rank this data. So now I can see which industries in this region or this combined area do I have the most businesses. The top is retail trade. Then we have professional, scientific, and technical services. Then there's other services. As I scroll down, these are the areas where there's less of these business types. If you're trying to attract some of these types of businesses, this may be information you can use in a report to say, hey, we have this amount of businesses. We may be looking to draw more of these in the area. You can compare it to other areas. So again, this is a way that a chamber or association may be looking at this data to say, where are our top businesses? Where we have the most business? How much revenue are they generating? Again, this is great for reports or if you're applying for a grant and different things like that. So with that, I am going to stop presenting because I've covered a lot of data today. I hope that you did get a great idea of how you can use this Census Business Builder tool for your business as well. And of course, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to stop sharing. And I will stop and leave time for questions at this time if there are any. Or if there's anything you would like me to show, let me know that as well.
Monica, I'm not seeing questions in the chat, but do you want to put your email address into the chat so that
Sure.
if people have questions afterwards?
Sure, of course. And I also want to let you know, so this is just one of the many tools that we have at the Census Bureau. So in this tool, I mainly focused on the county business data, but once you've identified a county, we have other tools, or even within this tool, if you want to look at the demographics by a lower level of geography, like looking at city or state, city or metropolitan area or zip code, you can pull up that report. It just will not give you the business data. But again, there's ways to narrow it down to more neighborhood level data. We have what we call census tracts, so you can do additional research. So I don't want you to think we don't have more, but in this tool is focused on the county level business data. And so I wanted to make sure I showed you how to use that tool. And once you have that narrowed down, then you can take a deeper dive into some of the other tools that we have available as well. I am putting my email address in the chat. And I did have an additional slide if I can get to it quickly, because I was going to show that we do, it did have my contact information as well. We do presentations all the time. Jolie's also available to present, and I want to thank her for giving me this opportunity to present to you today and to show you how our business builder tool works. So again, I see it's 5:51. If there's anything you would like for me to show, or if anyone had any questions, please let me know, because I do have the time. I have a few minutes that I could show anything that you wanted to see. Or if you wanted to look at another business type, we could do that as well. And then please note that sometimes, depending on the business type that you enter, some of the data may or may not be available if it's a merging business. Oh, and I did want to let you know that you can also combine, actually, let me do that. You can combine more than one business type in the tool as well. So we were just looking at one business type at a time. Let me see. I'm not sure if you're back on my Census Business Builder page. I'm not sure if you can see that.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So when we're here, you can actually add more than one business type. So what I did earlier was I was looking at food services and restaurants, but you can also add fast food as well. And then it'll combine those business types. So if you're, again, a chamber or someone looking at all types of, you want to add buffets and bars, you can do that. And then now we have those multiple businesses that we're looking at all at once. And then again, you would do the same steps. You would find your geography and focus on the area that you want to look at as well, because you may want to be looking at all types of restaurants, not just fine dining. You want to know where all of your competition, potential competition is, or how many are in a particular area. I did see a hand. I'm not sure who it was. I thought there was a question, so I don't know if you want to come off mute and ask your question.
I see there's in the chat, it says find mid-size and enterprise sizes only. Is that something we can do in the tool, Monica?
So I want to make sure I understand your question. So I'm going to go back to the report, because there, I'm sorry, I did not select a, and I'm sorry, I still see a hand as well, but I'm gonna again go back and type in my geography, because in the report, it did show businesses by size. But then again, I also mentioned that we have other tools. So if you're specifically interested in business sizes, we do have that data available. And you can contact me. I'm using my email address, and I can show you how to access that. But I want to go back to the report, because there's an area that did show businesses by size. So I'm not sure if that answers your question exactly. I hope it's somewhat answering your question. If not, let me know. And then I don't know if I'm saying this name right. I see a name, Ma'am Madhu. Do you have a question that you wanted to come off mute and ask?
Yes, my name is Mamadou.
Mamadou, I
I wanted to,
apologize.
it's okay.
Mhm.
I wanted to know, does the U.S. Census Bureau count online businesses? Like, say if I don't have a business physically in the real world, but I have an online store, TikTok store, something like that, will that be incorporated, or will that be, included in the data set?
There is a category. I know before, when online businesses were coming online, there wasn't a category, but remember I said we update them often. So there's a category. I'm going to try to get over there and show you how to find it in the next search. But for the other question about mid-size and enterprise sizes only, and when you say enterprises, I'm not sure if I understand what you mean specifically, your definition for enterprises, because I know our census definitions, but in this employer businesses here on the screen, you can see employer establishments, and then we have by size with number of employees. So I'm not sure if this completely answers your question, or were you looking more so by revenue or numbers of revenue data, or by how many they employ. So I'm not sure if you wanted to clarify that for me, but you can see here on the screen, we do have that data showing businesses with how many they actually employ. So of course, the ones with lower, those are going to be your smaller businesses. And then we have establishments with 1,000 or more employees, those are going to be your larger businesses. Unfortunately for this category, well, there's no data there with restaurants with that many employees, but I can see there's 250 to 499. There are 13 establishments that are showing for New York County with that size or number of employees. Okay, I'm going to try to jump over to the next search that I was in, and I hope that I put in the right word because sometimes, and I know I've gotten this question before, depending on what you type in, if it's not worded the way they want, but I know that we have, and it may be, Jolie, do you remember? I don't remember the top of my head. I may have to get back with you with that code, but there are businesses that we are tracking that are just online type businesses. Because I can see
I'm
here where
not
it says
sure. Yeah,
online travel agencies, customer service centers. You may be someone that's selling clothing that's specifically online. So what type of business did you say you had?
I think
Um,
that I
oh,
think
I'm
the
sorry.
question was just related to whether we're tracking those online businesses, and I think my sense is that we may have to go more general into the down to the, is this worth the 6 digit?
It's probably not, I don't know if it's down to that level. And I'm gonna find the answer to that question because I know we have it. It's a question I've been asked before, and I know that category has been added. I'm just not putting up the word that and I almost want to put retail here because I feel like there's so many online stores now. That's why I was asking. I know that it's there because I've had to search that before because that's a question that's asked pretty
There,
often.
Monica, there's internet retail sales
There we
sites.
go. I knew that we're tracking internet, so I needed to put internet. But again, I don't know what specific type you have, but we are tracking businesses that are strictly on the internet. I think that was your question. I hope I answered your question correct, to your satisfaction. If not, you can always reach out to me.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for the question.
Monica, there was clarification
Okay.
about the enterprise size being large businesses, medium size, mid size, with high millions of revenue in the infrastructure innovation industry.
Okay. Okay. We do have data showing revenue in the, you can see data by how much they're earning. I'm looking at the second part of your question. You're looking for a particular industry, infrastructure and innovation. Again, we can search for that next code for that particular industry and then look at the revenue data. And then also there's another tool that I would direct you to as well that shows that data as well, which is our data.census.gov tool that has business data that shows data in a table. So if you don't mind, if you want me to find that data for you and send it to you, you can send me an email. I don't know how quickly I would get to it right now. You hit the home button here, it takes you back to the beginning. And I'm looking at the time. I know it's 5:59, so I don't want to hold up the presentation. I know I had 1 hour. So I don't know if LaToya or Aaron, did you have any closing remarks before I conclude? And please, I think it's T, that's all I can see. If you could reach out to me in an email and I will provide you with the answer to that question.
Awesome. I want to say thank you, Monica, for your leadership. This was great information. I learned a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, chat, if you have any questions, please make sure that you take down Monica's email. You can send it to myself or Aaron, or you can email her directly for if you have any specific questions or you need some guidance on how to navigate the profile. This is a series, part 5 of a series this year that we are conducting, so super excited about it. I'm going to drop in the chat a flyer for our next session that's taking place next month on where we're going to be analyzing data around race and ethnicity. And again, this is the Census Information Center here at the Du Bois Bun Center. I want to thank Jolie for her leadership in helping us put on this series. And shout out to Aaron, who is our operations manager that keeps us all organized here at the Du Bois Bun Center. And with that, Monica, we can close out.
Right. Well, again, thank you everyone for joining today. I really appreciate your time and attention, and I hope you learn how to use the Business Builder tool and more about census data today. Thank you so much. I'm very appreciative. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a great evening.